Welcome back to the same episode, but episode 3.
Technically.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? So this is about health. Okay.
Men's health to
Patient
be
zero.
generic. To be all things, we're going to be talking a lot about men's health.
Yeah, starting. Okay, we'll get some women on here.
Did your Tinder just go off?
No.
Okay, I thought.
You
No,
can
I
find
don't
this
know.
man on Tinder if you guys are interested.
Yeah, exactly. Don't. It's not long term. Trust me.
All right, but yeah,
Shut
so
up, Alan.
let's start off this podcast. So, Ish, I want to talk about a little bit of his background. So, Ish and me met at GNC in 2018. Before we had our Turo talks, before we had anything, all I was interested in was bodybuilding. And a lot of my knowledge came from this man. He is very intelligent in this stuff, and he looks into a lot of research for himself, for everything he's looking for his friends. So as we go through with this, first we're going to talk about generic health, and then we'll go into topics. And again, I'll ask him questions just as somebody. Let's say I'm learning something new today.
He's okay. 2 points. One, he's been a trainer. He went to school for this specifically too. I know a lot more on the supplement side and things of that nature, and see what actually has made a difference. Okay. Now this is our patient zero. Obviously, needs a lot of work, but we'll get there.
All right.
Really
So,
keep your patient
what's
zero.
your from GNC from everything that you're looking at? What's the biggest health advice you would give somebody?
Okay, 2 things.
And
One,
let's say this is a generic person, and then let's also say somebody who's in the fitness game.
if you're trying to build the best habits to actually have yourself grow, one is waking up at the same time early in the day every time. Second thing is a good breakfast with heavy fats and protein, because that mentally stabilizes a lot of people. Most people have these mental issues where they're getting depression. Actually, there's a huge percentage of it linked to waking up at the wrong time and just waking up at different times, waking up later in the day. There's a link to that. And obviously for some weird reason, breakfast, right? Don't need to know, just know it's linked. Get a good breakfast, get that. And then there's a couple other things like, obviously exercising and other things of that nature.
All right. So, question for you, for all the people asking. So, you're saying breakfast is good. You always hear stuff about, should I eat carbs in the morning? Should I not eat carbs? Should I drink coffee in the morning? Should I not? You're talking a lot about sleep, and keeping your sleep consistent every single day is a very good habit. But what about what I'm actually eating in the morning? How much of that does that actually go in towards keeping me healthy, mentally and physically?
Again, this is for the wider audience more than it is for the specific person, because fats and protein stabilize someone's mood, get them balanced, because the blood sugar balance does actually better your mood and things of that nature. So my recommendation is get some food in you, get some fats in you specifically, and get some protein in you if you can. Right? That's just the general gist. Salt is a huge one. Salt is one of the electrolytes to get your brain working. Need it.
So,
Huge.
would you recommend something salty in the morning? Is that what you're
Salt.
saying?
You can put salt in your coffee. I put my salt in my coffee.
You're a weird guy. But okay, what do you recommend about coffee? Because there's always, obviously caffeine is a natural diuretic. Also, a lot of people say they get brain fog in the morning from eating carbohydrates. How would you avoid that to have a very good...
That's where the salt kicks in. Salt is specifically electrolyte. Most people think they don't lack, but they actually lack with iodine, right?
Unless you're eating a lot of burgers and fast food, right?
Yeah. Then maybe your sodium's a little high, but specifically most people think that they're salt high, but they're usually not. It's usually like, they're getting shitty salt or table salt. You can get sea salt. Sea salt I recommend more than most salts, even Himalayan. It has iodine in it, which is actually a needed component. It actually balances you out quite a bit. It gets your brain functioning at a proper dosage and stops the electrolyte loss with the diuretic effect of coffee. I use Danger Coffee. It's called Danger Coffee. Nothing having to do with like sponsoring or anything.
Which is what you use?
It's a U.S. coffee that actually he has all the trace minerals in it. So makes it it actually tastes pretty good if you like black coffee,
All right.
I like McDonald's black coffee too.
Disgusting.
So as obviously as
Delicious.
Ish knows about that. So okay, for myself, if a lot of people say they get brain fog, you recommend sodium to combat that.
Sodium.
Would you recommend taking coffee first thing in the morning? Or would you
Second.
recommend waiting?
No, have your coffee when you need it, right? Whatever gets you going, because your work schedule matters on your work schedule. Second, don't masturbate in the morning. It's just a fucking general gist.
Make sure you beep that. But
I'm gonna
maybe-
have
No,
to beep
it's
that.
not. It's part of health. Like it's part of health.
No, I can't.
No,
see
you don't
what-
have to beep
Alright.
it. You're whacking off in the morning.
See, there we go. That's a better one.
No, whacking off in the morning
Alright,
gives
okay.
you brain fog.
So don't whack off in the morning.
Yeah, do
Alright,
not
great.
whack off in the morning.
I'm glad to hear that.
You got
Honestly-
hardwood, Okay, go hit a wall.
I really hope nobody's waking up to go whack it off before they're going to work, Doug. I really
Yes.
hope that's not like
you're depleted. Okay?
in there. So all right,
You
so
flushed your children down the fucking toilet. Waste.
so again, one thing I want to add on about the sleep. I think the sleep is generally the most important thing.
Huge.
Having a proper, I can't even say the word right, proper rhythm, a circadian rhythm. Having a proper circadian rhythm, making sure that you wake. It's just good for your body because your body knows when it needs to shut down. Your body knows when it needs to gradually wake up, and it helps a lot. And not getting a good amount of sleep in, like a lot of people say, oh, I only need to sleep 5-6 hours a day.
Yep.
It's not true, man. If you look at the actual studies, man, you may think that you're performing good, but you're underperforming what you can do. Now, obviously, it's hard to say, hey, you gotta sleep 8 hours when people have work and stuff like that. But the best general thing you can do for your health is just by sleeping. Even myself, I wish I could sleep 6 hours and wake up, and I do that often, which is not the best thing. I always got under eyes because of it. But I have found out when I was testing this as much as I could, 8.5 hours is where I wake up and I'm feeling amazing. I feel the best. But obviously it's very hard to reach that threshold. And everyone's going to be a little different. And then breakfast, again, whether you want breakfast, whether you don't want breakfast, you know, I'm not a big fasting guy. Now, there are a lot of benefits to fasting. I know my friend over here fasts a good amount. But as I'm just trying to gain a lot of weight, I'm always just trying to eat as many calories as I can. And for me, waking up earlier, I feel like I am very focused. I don't have a lot of brain fog in the morning.
We'll post his shirt off photo.
Yeah,
sooner or later
and
on
so
here. It'll be
yeah,
tagged in.
so then because in the morning, especially when I eat a big breakfast, if I eat a big breakfast of carbs, I get very drowsy. I get very tired. I get very slouchy, and it happens because carbohydrates, you got to break them down and everything. So what I mostly in the morning, if you eat eggs and stuff like that, I find I don't get that brain fog. I'm very able to think and do productive activities in the morning. And then later in the day, the carbohydrates help me. It's also the same reason I like working out at night, because I'm carved up from the entirety of the day. Now, obviously, you're digesting this food. It takes a long time for it to digest. But this is how I feel the best.
Yeah, and what he's saying about sleep is great. But that's why I said for most people, generally, if you can, it's better to eat in the morning and then fast 6 p.m. and beyond, or even 5 p.m. and beyond, whatever time works for you the later in the day. Because thing is, empty stomach and having the right blood sugar level is huge to sleep. That's why carving up right before you go to sleep, people are like, oh, I need food. No, that's just
just cravings, man.
You just need
gotta
rest and digest.
you gotta avoid the cravings.
Yeah, you have no spike of growth hormone. You have terrible REM sleep when you actually eat too much before you go to sleep. So you rather eat, go to the gym, and then have a sleep.
So what do you eat, Amin?
So usually in the morning, if I do gym, I just haven't been to the gym in a while. Don't say anything. This one will say
It's
something.
been 1 month for 4 years.
All right, don't worry about that. We'll get to that when we get to there. But what do you eat in the morning?
In the morning, I don't really eat anything. I usually prep up my BCAAs and my pre-workout. I'll drink my pre-workout, and if I eat in the morning before I hit the gym, I would have a whole acid reflux issue. I'd probably try to end up throwing up.
So, all right, Ish.
But again, that's a personal issue.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah,
no
it's-
overall
and it-
issue.
yeah.
Second, he hasn't been to the gym in forever. Okay, don't
So-
trust
For
this.
you.
Another thing to remember, like I was
He is
mentioning,
patient zero, not the gym guy.
we're just gonna be glazing over some topics, and we're gonna go into in depth later. And probably not on this episode. We want to, obviously sleep needs its own cycle, food needs its own cycle. But let's say I sleep good. A lot of other people's misconceptions about multivitamins. What do you think about multivitamins? Do you like them? Do you hate them? A lot of people say you just piss them out. A lot of people say they don't work, or they do work. What are your takes on it?
I definitely do think there's certain vitamins you definitely need.
But what are
which
the
is
some
your
that
fat
you recommend?
soluble? Your fat soluble vitamins are a must.
Yeah.
A, K, D, and E.
So
And
what-
they all work in conjunction.
So
There's a part
just
of
in
it.
case our audience doesn't understand what fat soluble and water soluble mean, can you explain that real quick?
So they're ones that are kind of a breakdown in your fats, or actually are fat held. So vitamin E, they all work together. So it's not something that if you have one you're good. Because here's the thing, if you have too much vitamin D, you're gonna have too much calcium in your blood. And then if you have too much vitamin A, you're gonna actually deplete calcium from your bones.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to work together. So you don't want too much calcium in your blood, because then that way you can actually build up, you can calcify your veins and other things. Okay, generally those for vitamins. So let's say I'm gonna give you a top-down schedule. Having those vitamins in the morning, great idea. You need your coffee in the morning, fine. Have your coffee in the morning. If you need to eat, I recommend eating, but fat-based and protein-based only in the morning, because blood sugars does crash you. Going later in the day, you still want to have fats, and then the closer you get to the gym, carb up. Carb up, deplete your carbs at the gym. When you hit later in the day, try not to eat much, and then just have some of your major minerals: zinc, magnesium,
Zinc's a big one
and
for me.
copper. Copper with zinc is a combination, because most people put in too much zinc, and there's too many things people put zinc in for your immune system, and then you deplete copper. Without copper, you get all the white hairs on your body, you get the energy tolerance, your energy goes down, because most people think, oh, whatever. One minerals deplete the other. That's just a general rule, and that's kind of the base of your build, right? That's where you're building onto. You don't want to make it too complex, you don't want to make it too complicated. These are just the normal things you're doing as an average person that really help your energy levels go up.
Do you take any multivitamins?
Not recently, but I do like to take vitamin D because we live in Calgary and it's
Not a lot of sun.
Not a lot of sun right now.
Yeah. Okay, here's the two things that I'll make a point on. One, what he said, one, what he said. When he's talking about sleep, look at the stats of when people go from, energy savings to non-energy saving hours. That 1 hour that changes, it has the biggest increase in heart attacks.
Okay,
Right
now
there.
explain what you say there, because that's a very important.
Again, this is a stat I have to relook at, but the stat is gigantic. So when people, when we have the energy spending, so which means they cut down an hour, so we have more, so hour of sleep gets cut. Right during that time, you have the biggest jump in heart attacks. Because most people don't, most people think we're not that, sensitive and shit. It's because you're looking at just one person and you don't correlate it to that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at it as a big overall world stat, that's the biggest world stat you can get. Everyone depletes an hour of sleep. And right away you see a spike in people having, heart attacks and things of that nature, and their heart health, their body health goes down. And it works the reverse. When they get an hour of more sleep, people's that same rate goes down. So they actually right away their heart attack rates and things of that nature go down.
Mm-hmm.
This stat is out there. I think even on Joe Rogan, there was a gentleman who came on who talked about this. You can find it very easily. Just believe you need sleep. You might think you're a 7-hour guy. Yeah,
It doesn't work that
You
way.
can function. There's some people who are more effective, but sooner or later it catches up with you, right?
And
if you're older.
the thing to remember with caffeine is it just makes you think you're not tired.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're not actually tired, right?
It
Your
does have-
body
yeah.
it does all of its processing, including your brain gets rid of all toxins and everything while you're sleeping. Your body works very well when it's sleeping. That's when your body rebuilds itself, right? And just to simplify everything, because we don't want to complicate anything, I do believe in a good multivitamin. There's always an excess amount of something, which means you could take excess amount of anything and you'll die from it. You'll get a problem from it. But when you take a multivitamin, and usually with the food we eat now, I'm sure you are testament to this, the food we eat now is not as great as the food we used to eat back in the day, obviously way before our time. But anything we lack, we can get in a multivitamin, and usually anything we have too much excess, we can piss it out. So I always recommend taking it. It's like a security, like an extra security measure. It's not gonna make or break anything, but it's a good thing to have if you want to keep yourself very healthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think generally what he said, a general vitamin is good. Try to get a brand that is right, but try to get it from meat specific. Meat to transform. If you're non-meat eater, try to use a brand like Garden of Life. If you're a meat eater, meat's the best. Now, when he talked about vitamin D, the reason is the darker your skin is, the harder it is to absorb. So that's why most people who have darker skin come from countries that are hot or around the equator, because they get way more exposure to sunlight. So if the darker your skin is and you're more in cold countries where you're not seeing the sun, the more vitamin D you actually need. Darker skins have, you could say, is SPF 50. You're walking around, especially when you get into the darkest of skins. Okay, you generally have very little absorption, and even our systems are not made to absorb. We come from, let's say we're native to Asia, so we don't have high absorption in vitamin D no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we actually don't have high absorption. Our systems are not made for it. They don't like vitamin D easily, but reason we're normally exposed to it way more than we are in Canada. So you want some kind of source, and it's usually 1,000 IU for every 25 pounds you weigh.
Mm-hmm. Again, don't overcomplicate it. Anything is better than nothing. But he, Ish, like I told you, he's a stat man. He knows all this stuff.
Yeah.
He looks at the breakdown of everything. And just another consensus while we're just on the same topic, if your energy levels are low, you might be lacking, especially if you're a vegetarian, as he was mentioning, you might be lacking iron.
Yeah.
And it's always great to go get a blood test checked. One thing to note though is blood tests, they're drastically different based on if you do it in the morning, if you do it at night, if you do it fasted, if you don't do it fasted, if you've done exercise, it's very different, right? So It's not all. It's that's why I always recommend going the simpler route and just taking a regular multivitamin rather than going so in depth into it. And you can later once you have the basics. If you're sleeping good, if everything else is working good in your life, then you're just feeling better. And yeah, it just works that way.
Do you have any points?
Yeah, I'm pretty good here. I'm not really an expertise.
Main,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, so I just want to end it off. Not a long one. We'll talk more about other things, like health, men's health.
One thing before we do end it
How
off,
Drake
because
did his thing.
Jeez, I always
How
want to
Drake
Drake
did-
thing.
I have the inside scoop.
he
Oh, you
he
know.
was there. He was there.
Yeah, I'm channeling him. He needs to pass me some cash, otherwise I'm gonna spill the beans.
Yo,
That's
Drake,
a
if you're
different story.
listening. But yeah, last thing I want to go over quickly is omegas, and I want to talk about because we were talking about brain health with
Yeah.
sleeping correlation. What are omega-3s? What are all types of omegas? What are those fatty acids do for you?
Different sources, different fatty acids, right? So I don't know if you know this, but when a newborn, like a newborn child, fully 100% of its fat basis is omega-3. And what happens is we've been so exposed to omega-6s, which is vegetable oil, seeds, and things of that nature, where they're getting food from that, like margarine, and they're cooking in that it's terrible. That's why they say, there's so much junk in your stomach. That it's because omega-6 doesn't absorb into the blood well. Omega-3 actually is what your brain loves, your joints love. Your body can use that fat for energy much quicker, much easily.
Trust
And
me, when I get
just-
when I get a bad tendonitis pain because I'm working out a
Yeah.
lot, that's
Yeah,
omega-3.
omega-6 is not just fish oil. It's your ghee, your butter, so your grass-fed butter. Great ideas, right? Grass-fed butter has great sodium too.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, omega-3 is the way. Sorry, you want to deplete, you want to cut out as much omega-6 as possible. Get omega-3.
So what's the issue with omega-6? What's the problem? You said it doesn't absorb
It causes
well.
inflammation in your
Okay.
gut, and it causes inflammation in general. It increases your estrogen levels.
So
which
if we
is
have a low
hormonal.
amount of omega-3, what's the side effects that we see on us?
It's not something you're going to see because it's like your body can fight off a lot and not something that you can tell in a day. Like a lot of things, it's like a smoker. Smoker thinks their lungs are great until shit happens.
Until it's not.
You go to the doctor, you're like, oh my God, I have bad lungs. How did this happen, right? It's just generally like, if you're a smoker, you probably know that shit's happening, but when you don't see it, you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way with your fatty acids. So it affects you like people seen once they put omega-3 more in them, they actually burn more fat faster, their brain's more active, their joints are better, their body is usually better energy full. So you want to deplete the omega-6s, use 3 because your body will use it much better. I don't know if you know this, your body and brain is much better off of fats than it is off of carbs.
Yeah, like sweet, it's fats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, is there any health issue or any health question you have to ask our guru over here?
Leave it in the messages below.
Yeah, because I
Nothing
got
too
nothing.
complicated.
And just for
Even though he
the
does
quick
peer review.
video and for the shorts, I want to ask you a question. What are your top 3, just out of general, what are your top 3 supplements you recommend? Supplements, meaning you supplement them with your diet, that you recommend for somebody living in Canada? From our
Vitamin
base
D.
sort of food, vitamin D. Are you talking about a certain vitamin D, vitamin D3, or are you just
No,
talking about
it's
general?
in general. So vitamin D is vitamin D3 most of the times. It's just a form that they get. It's very common. Vitamin D3 is all you need, right?
Mhm.
That's all you need. Number 2 thing is, see, the thing is, it's not a one-way stream. It's not like you're going to be able to fix all problems with just generally one thing. 3 supplements in Canada. So I would say A, D, K, and E together. That's it. Let's close that off. A, D, K, and E.
Vitamin.
Get all those, and we'll call it a day.
Mhm.
Hit those first, hit those hard, and get those done.
And
That's
sleep
it.
well.
Sleeping is important.
Sleep is tip. That's the main one right here.
I'm the worst one. I only get 5 hours usually.
Yeah.
Now we can see he doesn't have anything to add about vitamin E.
Which one?
Any vitamins, right? I'm just generic.
Well, he sleeps badly because his caffeine intake's too high. So as soon as you put a little bit of caffeine in your body, 50% of your sleep quality goes down.
Also, one more point before I want to mention. I hate when people say, "Oh, I can drink coffee and I can go to sleep," and it doesn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you say to that? Because that's total BS.
Again, it's because you don't notice shit because you get used to shit. Okay.
You can't see every single issue in your body,
If I
alright?
eat ice cream every day, I'm gonna think I'm still functioning. Fuck all y'all.
did that
Ice
during the
cream is
summer.
the best. Okay, it's delicious. I love it. I'm not gonna lie. But in general, I know like the science behind it. You don't function well off of sleep because the science behind it shows you don't function well off of sleep. Like we're active guys. We generally healthy. One, I know you deplete everything, so you are less controlled when you sleep worse. You build less muscle when you sleep worse. you generally are less focused when you sleep, whereas especially if you got some kind of ADHD, okay, or anything of that nature. So sleep matters. Yes, caffeine affects it. Don't bullshit yourself. Get help, like Dr. Phil says. That's it.
Again, like we were mentioning, we're gonna have a lot more people, a lot more insight than this guy, than myself. This guy is an expert when it comes to men's style. He may not look it right now. Joking, he looks better than I do most of the time. 99% of the time, if you saw the shoes I was wearing, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Yo, stop slicking back
Yeah,
here,
my-
man.
Yo, I can't help. Hey,
He
I
looks
have
good.
hair.
What can you say, right?
I have hair. You,
It's true.
you do not.
This
Alright.
is survival at its finest.
And he'll go over how he overcame the biggest conqueror of his
Same
life.
with I'm exposing Drake's.
Drake is getting
Bang.
exposed.
This
Everyone's
This,
exposed.
this is all
This
working
thing
for.
magic.
Yeah.
No,
And then
it's
we'll go into
Oh,
fashion and
I
all
actually
that fun stuff
decide.
as well. Because again, we want to base our channel around everything you can do to upgrade your life, anything you can do to be good. Financials are a big part of it because if you're not making money, you're going to be struggling. Looking good is a major
Yeah,
part of it because you need to be confident, right?
Yeah,
and then
no.
feeling confident, that's a major key. If you ain't feeling good outside, or inside, you ain't feeling good outside.
Yeah. Honestly, you don't have to spend a lot to dress well.
Don't trust this guy.
No,
all right, if you knew where he worked, you would be saying the otherwise. All right.
No, because I spent most of my life, student life in it, all on like shit, like $15 an hour. So.
And I promise you, he looks good. You see him in real life, you're like, holy shit, bro. Yeah, it looks like he owns us.
Yeah. Slave driver here.
Slave driver.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you again for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you on the next week's episode. This week you get 2. We're gonna keep bumping it up. Bump it up, please.
We'll probably just
Subscribe.
be doing 2 now.
Please share. Everything's gonna help. I want to own a Bugatti.
Yeah.
He
donate,
wants a
I'm
Bugatti.
broke.
This guy wants 2 Bugattis.
Actually, I'd rather have Alfa Romeo.
Do not
All
get
right,
a
whatever the
minivan.
fuck that is. And
Soul
again,
driver.
yeah. You know another fun thing just before we end off. The reason why when I wanted to do this Turo thing now rather than before is I was like, I know nothing about cars. Who the fuck knows everything about cars? This guy. He drives like a maniac. If you see this guy,
I know
pull him
more.
fucking over because this guy is a danger to himself.
You know about Sinclair.
He is
I know
going
way
on the
more than
basis
that.
I've never crashed. I'm never gonna crash. Please take him off the road.
You crashed.
Don't worry about what I've done. Okay.
You crashed
Fastest
3
drivers
times.
are the safest drivers.
They
I don't know about that one, but
No, they
Fastest
are.
drivers are the best drivers.
I agree.
all right, guys. Who's gonna be on the next?
Those
week's
women, worst
Yeah, no.
drivers.
podcast? All right,
We had
you
to bleep
beep
that
all
out.
of that out,
I
but
had
you
to
guys
bleep
can imagine
everything
what we
out.
said. That's what we like. Imagination is
Certain
good.
races too, but I'm not saying it.
All right. So if you were in the studio, one day we're gonna do a live shoot as well. I'm very worried about that one. but I
I'm
think-
bringing all the races here, okay? Don't you wait.
All right. Thank you
Stay
so much, guys.
subscribed.
Please subscribe. Please
ya.
share. Bye bye.